Hi, my name is Grace Bodker and I'm in CYS645, and today I'm going to be discussing the what and the why of threat hunting along with why it is important for our organization. So you may be wondering what threat hunting is. And threat hunting is the proactive approach to identifying previously unknown and or ongoing threats within an organization's network. This could be a cyber attack, a cyber breach, or something along those lines. There are three major threat hunting methodologies that we will be discussing today, and those are listed on the PowerPoint. The first one is called hypothesis-driven investigation. The second is intel-based threat hunting, and the third is called situational threat hunting. Now, these names may be variable depending on where you get your information from. However, these are the most common names that I found when using or when researching the threat hunting methodologies. So the first type of threat hunting methodology is hypothesis-driven investigation. Now, this is a type of threat hunting that starts as an educated idea, also known as a hypothesis, about the possibility of a cyber attack happening, and it also poses as a trigger for the start of the threat hunting process. So this will allow the organization or the threat hunting team to start figuring out, putting a finger on what type of breach or cyber incident may be occurring in the organization, and how you may go about resolving this issue. Now, the second type of threat hunting is intel-based threat hunting. So this is a type of hunting that focuses on analyzing threat intelligence sources. The search also follows the CM and threat intelligence guidelines. So as soon as the team identifies the issue, the threat hunter begins analyzing the cyber threat or breach. The third type of threat hunting methodology is situational threat hunting, and this is a type of threat hunting that is influenced by situational awareness and industry specifics. So the methods for this type of threat hunting will vary depending on how the industry, the organization, and the threat impacts the environment. The three type of threat hunting methodologies that we just discussed have an influence on what type of threat hunting framework the organization chooses to use. So a threat hunting framework is a set of guidelines the organization will follow in order to identify the company's potential threats and attack vectors. So a threat could be, like we've discussed prior, a cyber attack or a breach, and the attack vectors are how these perpetrators are attacking the company and where they are finding the vulnerabilities of the organization. The framework that is used will then depend on the type of activity the organization is trying to find. So whatever type of cyber attack is occurring to the organization and where the cyber criminal is targeting will influence the framework that is chosen to use by the company. One popular framework that is used by organizations all over the world is called the hunting loop. If I had an organization, I would attempt to use this framework as much as I could, specifically because it's simple and easy to understand for employees and other individuals that are involved in the organization. The ultimate goal of threat hunting is to find and eliminate the threats of the organization. So the faster the hunting team can do this, the faster they can move on to the next potential threat, which will allow the organization to stay as safe and successful as possible. This will also eliminate the worry of other employees in the organization, which will allow them to do their job more productively. the hunting loop allows the team to do this because it's simple and easy, and you don't have to worry about understanding what your job is and what you're supposed to be doing. Like I said, it's pretty simple. There are 4 steps to this loop. It begins with creating a hypothesis, and then it moves to investigating via tools and techniques, and then uncovering new patterns and TTPs, and lastly, informing and enriching analytics. So the faster you can move through these 4 stages of the threat hunting loop, then you can move on to a different threat or vulnerability and begin this loop all over again. So like I said before, the hunting loop has 4 different stages. The first is creating a hypothesis. The second is investigating via tools and techniques. The third is uncovering new patterns and TTPs. And the fourth is informing and enriching analytics. We are going to take a closer look into these 4 steps to see what they involve and see how simple it would be for an organization to follow the hunting loop. So the first step of this process is generating a hypothesis. This is creating an educated guess about a cyber incident that may be occurring in the IT department of the organization. So like we learned in elementary school, how to create a hypothesis, which is using your surroundings and your past knowledge to figure out what may be going on in your environment and why it may be happening. So in this case, if there is something going wrong in the IT department, you can make an educated guess on whether there's a breach or a cyber attack of some sort, and obviously your hypothesis generating will probably get better as time moves on because you have had more experience with this. But then you can also create an educated guess on where the cyber criminal is targeting your organization and how you could potentially fix this in the future so it doesn't happen again. The second step in the hunting loop, like we've talked about before, is investigating via tools and techniques. So this is when the hypothesis is tested using tools and techniques like linked data analysis, visualizations, and statistical analysis. This is a pretty simple and common knowledge step. So the third step in the hunting loop process is discovering patterns and TTPs. So the tools and techniques used to investigate the hypothesis then uncover new harmful patterns of behavior and adversary TTPs. So just like in a scientific experiment, when you perform an experiment and use tools to test things, you then get results and you figure out, okay, this is where the cyber threat is, this is where our vulnerabilities in the organization are, and then you can act on these discoveries to help the organization and prevent further harm in the future. So the fourth and final step of the hunting loop is automated analytics. So after a hunt is complete, informed and enriched automated analytics should be formed. So when the threat hunting team finds a way to identify a threat, it's important to automate it via analytic so that the team can move on to the next threat quickly. This will save the hunting team time in the future. So when in a scientific experiment you figure out whether your hypothesis was right or wrong, you want to record that so that in the future, if something similar happens, your team or somebody else who is experiencing something similar can look back at past results and be like, okay, this happened to this person and this is how they knew, and this is how we should go about this because this is how they did it and this is what they learned from it. So you want to record what you've experienced so other people, including yourself, can benefit from what you've learned through this experiment. Threat hunting includes open and closed data sources. So an open data source is a source code that is publicly available to anyone who wants it or needs it, and then the programmer also has the ability to change the code if they desire. Closed data sources are almost the complete opposite of open data sources, so the public is not given access to the source code and they can't see or modify it if they need to or want to. Threat hunting requires many different types of tools and technology, and it all depends on the organization that has the IT department and what they prefer to use. As time goes on, the tools and technology that is being introduced increases, which allows the organizations with the opportunity of picking a wider variety of tools and technology. Most organizations that I have found use endpoint security solutions for detection and response of cybersecurity incidents such as data breaches and cyber attacks. An example of a tool that is used often is a CM solution. Another type of model that is used often in threat hunting is called a maturity model or a threat hunting maturity model. And this is a model for measuring an organization's threat hunting ability. So the key question in this model is, where is the organization now when it comes to a cyber incident or a cyber threat and its vulnerabilities? And the model also poses as a roadmap for improvement in the future. So you can look at the data that you've recorded throughout your threat hunting, and you can improve from past experiences and current and future experiences. So what does my vulnerabilities look like now? What does my cyber department, my IT department, my threat hunting team look like now? And how can we improve the organization in the future to make it safer and prevent cyber incidents and cyber attacks that we have experienced in the past from happening now and in the future? And we can also look at potential vulnerabilities. So we can get together as a team and discuss where we think our weakest points are as an organization, and we can target those and look to improve those to help prevent things from happening in the future. This will build integrity and trust in not only our employees and our staff members, but also our customers as well. Another thing that is commonly created by a threat hunting team is key performance indicators, also known as KPIs. And this is a measurable goal that the threat hunting team sets in order to track the progress of the group towards achieving the overall target of the organization. So, in a threat hunting maturity model, or when your organization sits down to discuss the strengths and the weaknesses and the vulnerabilities of the organization, you're able to create key performance indicators in order to measure whether your organization has improved from past meetings and until now. So it's important to keep track of everything you've discussed in meetings as a group so that you can look back on those goals to see how much you've improved from the past and see where your vulnerabilities have improved and where new vulnerabilities may be located in your organization. The last 3 slides of this presentation are citations. However, before I get to that, I wanted to say that having a threat hunting team is overall important because it helps to proactively detect and respond to potential cybersecurity threats that may not be detected by traditional security measures that have been used in the past. Threat hunting involves actively searching for signs of harmful activities such as security breaches within an organization's systems. Some of the key reasons why having a threat hunting team is important in your organization is because of early detection. So, threat hunting allows an organization to identify threats in their early stages before they can cause significant harm and damage to sensitive data. This will allow the organization's employees and customers with the ability to have integrity in our organization and trust us in the future. Another advantage to this, to maintaining a threat hunting team, is that traditional security tools like firewalls and antivirus software may not always detect sophisticated targeted attacks. A threat hunting team can use their expertise to look for indicators of compromise that might be missed by automated tools. Another advantage to having a threat hunting team is that it will reduce dwell time. So, having a low dwell time will mean that attackers have less time to move around the organization and cause harm. Threat hunters have the ability to look for threats at any time because that's their job. They can work on that 24/7, whereas some sort of software or some sort of outside organization may only work certain hours. Threat hunters also can provide valuable insights and context into potential threats, which helps security teams respond more effectively and prioritize their actions. So, along with this, they have the ability to teach other threat hunters or provide their own experience to the organization, so the organization can learn from current, past experiences that they have had, which will benefit the organization as a whole. Another thing is that, unlike automated security tools, threat hunting involves a proactive and investigative approach. This will enable the threat hunting team to adapt to emerging threats and tailor their strategies accordingly. So they can sit down as a team and decide what the best approach is to going about the cyber attack or the cyber breach that is occurring within the organization, and how they can resolve this issue as quickly and efficiently as possible. A threat hunting team is also dedicated to enhancing an organization's incident response capabilities by providing accurate and timely information about potential threats. So like we talked about earlier in the presentation, these threat hunting teams can sit down and talk about what went well in certain incidents that they have investigated, what went wrong, and how they can improve those strengths and weaknesses in the future. Overall, this will help the organization improve and be one of the best cyber organizations that is out there. That is the main goal of a threat hunting team, is finding the weakness, where the cyber breach is, the vulnerabilities, preventing that or getting rid of that cyber threat, cyber breach, cyber attack, and preventing it from happening in the future, which will overall benefit the organization. And lastly, to kind of chime off of that, is that with a cyber threat team or a threat hunting team, there's continuous improvement within the organization. So through ongoing threat hunting activities, the team can identify the weaknesses in the organization and recommend improvements to prevent future incidents from happening, whether we've experienced them before or not. So overall, a well-trained and proficient threat hunting team can significantly strengthen an organization's cybersecurity defenses and help fight the risk of cyber threats. If I had my own organization, I would fight hard for my cyber department to have a threat hunting team in order to diagnose and eliminate cyber threats that are occurring, have occurred, and help prevent them from happening in the future. The last 3 slides in this presentation, like I said before, are all citations that I have used to expand my knowledge on a threat hunting team and why it's important for an organization to have a threat hunting team. I also included citations on images that I've collected from the internet to improve the overall experience of this presentation. I hope this presentation allowed me to share some of my knowledge that I've learned throughout the semester on threat hunting teams with you, and I hope that you understand as well as I do now that it's important for all organizations to invest in threat hunting teams to better their organization and protect them from cyber threats from past, present, and future. And I want to thank you all for listening. Bye.